Paladins has been gaining some new players lately due to the new and unique updates they've been making, so I, as someone with a lot of playtime and experience in the game, thought it would be a good idea to make a beginner's guide to Paladins. Now, I'm going to be going over the basics and some other more detailed information. This might not be helpful to some people, but if you're somewhat new to Paladins, this will be helpful, I guarantee. If you'd like to see a certain part of the video or just get some specific information, hover over the timeline of the video and it'll be labeled for what I'm talking about. If you can't see it or don't know what I'm talking about, there are timestamps in the description. First, I'll be talking about some basic information on Paladins. Paladins is a first-person hero shooter. It's fairly similar to Overwatch in some ways, so if you're coming from a background of Overwatch, you might already know some of the stuff. There are 50 playable characters, or champions as they're called in the game. There are 4 classes: tank, damage, support, and flank. Each class has different playstyles and stats. There are 3 main game modes in Paladins: Siege, Onslaught, and TDM, or Team Deathmatch. Customization is one of the biggest, unique, and most exciting parts of Paladins. Every champion has 3 talents which you choose from, each adding or boosting and even nerfing certain abilities. Loadout decks are where you make a collection of cards that add to abilities. The game is updated every 2 or 3 months, and this is a very simple and basic overview of Paladins. Now let's get into some of the more detailed information. The champions in Paladins range from knights to rabbits. Seriously. There are many different champions in Paladins, each add different parts to the story and lore. You start off the game with a handful of simple to use characters, a couple of each class. The rest you can buy for gold, a currency in the game. The price of these characters is either 15, 30, or 60,000. Although the last several characters have been consistently 60,000, this might be intimidating, but it's not. You can get this amount of gold with a little bit of grinding. Maps in Paladins are symmetrical, unlike Overwatch, where sometimes, depending on the game mode, you can get to defend and other times you get to attack. Paladins maps, besides Team Deathmatch maps, are all symmetrical. The maps in this game are also locations in the lore, similar to Overwatch, where Eichenwald is where all the events leading up to Reinhardt joining Overwatch took place. Stone Keep is where Leon and Khan rule. It's close to their palace, if not at the front door. Ascension Peak is where Genos ascended to the stars. Although it's not as easy to see or as many of these maps as there are in Overwatch, it's definitely still there. Each game mode has several different maps. Some game modes have more than others. These maps are regularly updated and sometimes completely remodeled whenever there's a new update. The game modes in Paladins are actually a little more complex than people might realize. There are 3: Siege, Onslaught, and Team Deathmatch, or TDM. Each of these game modes have their own rules, but these game modes are only part of a bigger 3 game modes, or whatever you call these: Quick Play, Ranked, and Bots. You can select one you want to play. There is no XP or gold reduction when you're playing against bots. Ranked has more complicated setup you go through before you can play. Each team must ban 2 champions, then pick a character to play as one at a time. Then you can switch champions if needed, then customization, then the loading screen, then you get to play. Quick Play is a lot more simple: choose your champion and go. For Siege, Onslaught, and TDM, it's simple: pick your character, customize them, play the game. Siege matches range from 10 to 20 minutes, Onslaught ranges from 15 to 30 minutes, Team Deathmatch ranges from 4 to 10 minutes. Although these game modes might take only a couple minutes, the queue times can be a little different. Siege is the most popular game mode in the game, and will guarantee a quicker queue time. Onslaught and Team Deathmatch can be tougher to get a queue for, but it pretty much depends on what time of day you're playing. I also forgot to mention, Team Deathmatch is pretty self-explanatory. Onslaught is where there's one single point. Standing on that point gives your team points. Whoever's standing on that point gets points for their team. Whoever first to 400 points wins. Pretty simple. It could just be called King of the Hill and people would understand it. Siege is there is a point. Your team must capture that point. Once captured, a payload spawns. Escorting this payload to the enemy spawn gives your team an extra point. First to 4 points wins. There are also other smaller game modes like King of the Hill, but they're very self-explanatory and they're very uncommon, so I won't be going in them. Currency. There are, at the time of me speaking, I believe 4 different currencies. I'm pretty sure at least. Gold, crystals, viewer points, and bounty points. I'm not sure if bounty points and viewer points are the same thing. Twitch points as well. Twitch points are a thing as well, but I don't really know where this all fits and stuff. Gold is the most plentiful and easiest to acquire, as depending on how you did every match, you can average about 150 gold every game you play. Gold can be used in many different ways. You can buy champions, buy certain skins, and even more ways. Quests are another way to get gold, giving you 400 to 500 gold for each one. There are 3 a day. They have you complete simple tasks like playing 2 matches as a healer. Crystals are a more rare currency. You can acquire them by the Trials of the Realm, which is basically a more complex quest system, only it has you do more for other things as well as gold and crystals. If you're not into using real money to buy crystals, Trials of the Realm is the best way to get them. Bounty points are points you can spend in the bounty store where somewhat rare skins are sold. Viewer points are an old currency that I believe was recently replaced by Twitch points. I don't really know. Customization is by far one of the most defining features in all of Paladins. Not only can you intertwine skins like having one skin's voice and another's weapon, and etc., but you can change the abilities of champions. This might sound complex, but it's actually very simple. Loadout decks are decks of cards that you make. You choose cards from a pool of cards that all change the character in a simple way. Reduce the cooldown time of a certain ability is a common one. Regain health every time you use a certain ability. You get the point. Sometimes they're simple, other times they can be more complicated, increase the effectiveness, but also reduce the duration of a certain ability, increase health, increase ultimate charge. All of these are examples. Once you choose 5 cards, you can upgrade them. 5 being the max and 1 being the lowest. Upgrading these cards increases their potency, I guess is the best way to put it. So a level 1 card may be heal for 50 each time you use an ability, and when you max it out, level 5, you heal for 500 every time you use an ability. There is an amount of times you can upgrade a card. Each card is worth 1 point. The max amount of points is 15. You must have 5 cards to complete the deck. I don't know if this makes sense, but it's actually very simple. These loadout decks allow you to take a champion you like. Maybe you like Koga's voice, but suck at playing as him. You can use these loadout decks to help create your own playstyle, thus being awesome at Koga. There are 4 classes in Paladins: Tank, Damage, Support, and Flank. Each class has a certain playstyle, but that doesn't mean you can't go a little off the rails. As I've said, loadout decks can help you turn a tank into a flank. Just saying. Tanks will usually, depending on what kind of tank they are, will be at the objective. The healers will be toward the back with the damage, and the flank will take special flank routes to get into the enemy backline and take out the enemy supports and damage. This is the usual, but yet again, I have a loadout deck that turns Tiberius, a damage, into a flank, and it's pretty crazy. The game starts up with you choosing your champion. After that, you go to the loading screen where you can see your team and the enemy team. You can also see what level they are on that character. Unlike Overwatch, when you play a match in Paladins, it adds XP to that character. Leveling them up can unlock things and is more intimidating. At this point, during the loading screen, I like personally to devise a plan. When you spawn in this game, you're given 40 seconds to pick a talent, loadout deck, and an optional choice, items. A talent is like a card, but it does more and can in some cases completely change an ability. You get 3 talents. You unlock them by leveling up your champion. Items are used to buy power-ups, like reduced healing received by an enemy you hit by 75% for 1.25 seconds after hitting them. This item is called Cauterize. It's one of the most used and suggested in the game. The price of these ranges from 150 to 300 credits. Similar to cards, you can upgrade them. Each time you upgrade it, it costs more to upgrade it to the next level. You can have 4 items in one game. Once the game is over, the items are taken away. The currency is used to buy items and is not gold. I got this mixed up when I first played the game. I still remember the first time I bought an item. I used to think that credits were gold and I didn't want to use up all my gold in a simple game. Credits is the currency used to buy items. Credits are not used for any other purpose in the game. You lose them once the game is over. Credits are somewhat easy to get, capturing the points, getting kills or eliminations, healing, dealing damage, and shielding are just some of the simple ways to get credits. Gameplay in this game is similar to Overwatch, but it's lower stakes. In Overwatch, Widowmaker can tap about 80% of the heroes in the game. Doomfist can do the same, and he also makes very easy work of all the tanks in the game. In Paladins, as far as I know, nobody can straight up one-tap. There has to be a special talent for a certain character, and then I believe Canessa can one-tap Eevee. When you have a game like Overwatch where people have a lot less health compared to Paladins, you're going to rely on movement, cover, and aim. While Paladins is a little more forgiving, don't get me wrong, you still can get evaporated, but it's not as common as it is in Overwatch. Skins in Paladins are one of my favorite features. The skins, especially the ones they're making these days, are super high quality. New voice actors, new weapons, new visual effects, sound effects, new voice lines, new lore, all kinds of stuff. The skins in this game are amazing, but they can be really hard to get. Most of the skins in this game will be exclusive to older battle passes, making a lot of them unavailable until high res makes them possible to buy again. And the skins that you can buy are either in a chest, which a lot of the time you will have a very low chance of actually getting what you want, and can be very expensive, or the skins will be worth hundreds of crystals, which you either buy with real money, or you grind for a long time. Although the Trials of the Realm makes it easier to get crystals, they're still very hard to get. Skins in Overwatch are great too, but the amount of time that went into the skins in Paladins is just awesome. The skins in Overwatch can be bought for a lot less, and every skin is available during the anniversary event no matter what. The skins in Paladins might be better, but only certain skins you can actually buy for a lot of time grinding. I got a comment a couple weeks back talking about how the skins in Paladins actually damage the game. Sometimes people can get confused on who they're fighting because of the skins. And I can see this as many of the skins completely change the race, voice lines of the character. And another point the comment had was how in Overwatch all the voices stay the same, making it easier to react to ultimates. It's a good point, but as I said before, Paladins is a lower stakes game. Imagine trying to react to a Reinhardt ultimate when he says something completely different and in a new voice. Good luck. Not reacting to that can quickly be game ending, allowing the Reinhardt and his team to wipe you out. While in Paladins, a Ryan ultimate wouldn't be much of a problem, let alone not reacting to it in time. Overwatch is a more competitive game, so being quick to react to an ultimate voice line is vital. As I've said before, if you play a character, the XP from that character will go into your account and into that champion you played. Leveling up that champion will give you new talents, a max of 3, titles, and skins. The skins are Obsidian, Cosmic, and finally Gold at level 50. These skins are the default, but the color scheme is changed, and is really just a way to flex on your enemies right before you dominate them. Similar to Overwatch, there are cosmetics in this game. Victory poses, emotes, skins, and weapons. I will admit they don't have voice lines like Overwatch does. The cosmetics in this game can sometimes be really hard to get, just like the skins. Most of these cosmetics will be completely unavailable. There aren't as many of them as there is in Overwatch 2. And for the final section in this video, I'd like to give some of my personal thoughts and advice to you. As someone who has played a lot of time in this game, I advise you to stay away from ranked, at least for the first bit you're playing. Ranked can be very toxic, but most of the time, it's actually fine. I find this to be one of the better games in terms of ranked toxicity. I find people who lead the team by suggesting picks and so forth. But ranked is where people strategize more and are simply better at the game, so I just advise you to kind of stay away from it for the first bit. I also won't lie to you, the game does have bugs. Some people like to just sweep it under the mat, but it's a thing. I find across different games they suffer from different kinds of lag and bugs, but I find most of the time it's movement bugs. I've gotten used to them and counter them with other kinds of movement without even thinking about it. Biggest problem is its teleporting glitch, where it'll move you to different locations somewhat near to where you are at random times. It's very weird and it's somewhat easy to point out right before it happens via video and audio cues, so just beware of them. There are also some funny glitches, like when Tiberius uses his ultimate, he stays in this kind of crouched position no matter what he's doing, so just imagine this like solid statue of this tiger guy who's like crouching around, just jumping and walking around, doing stuff like it's normal. It's really funny, to be honest. I hope you're still here or I haven't scared you off yet. The game is very simple and pretty easy to pick up, so I'd like to hear your thoughts on Paladins. If you're new, welcome to Paladins, and I hope you have a great time playing. What do you think of these beginner guides? I'm new to them, but I really enjoyed making this video. I'd like to do more of them in the future if you'd like to give me some game suggestions and things you'd like to hear more on. I hope you have a wonderful day, and remember, life is short. Play great games.